Give me one moment, everybody. Am I live? Did it start? Okay. Okay, I see it's a delay. Okay, let me mute myself on YouTube. Okay, yay! Hey, Dory Moo. Let me see. This is so odd. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Obelisk Lounge. This is my first time going live, trying to figure this thing out. Can you hear me, Dory Moo? Let me type in the chat. Let me see. Yay, I'm happy you were too. Okay, for those of you watching the replay of this, you will just have to fast forward while I get used to this. Okay, cool. You can hear me loud and clear. Okay, awesome. Okay, so actually, Dory, I'm going to make you a moderator. So let me go to, because I'm streaming on a separate outside web-based app. And so I have to also have my YouTube open. So let me put my YouTube on this side and let me make you a moderator. Let me see. I don't want to put her in timeout. There we go. Add as moderator. Can manage blocked words, change modes in live, and also yeah. Yes, I'm gonna put you as a managing moderator because I trust you. I don't even know what all that entails, but I trust you. So you're gonna be a managing moderator. Okay, awesome. All right, so once again, everybody, welcome to the Obelisk Lounge. My name is Justice, and today's topic is I'm going to be talking about two main astral spirits that parents or guardians just need to be aware of when it comes to your children. I'm going to be talking about the Hat Man and this lady that she's not the old hag that rides your back. I just call her the old white lady because when I saw her, that is exactly what she looked like, just an old white lady. She wasn't the hag. She wasn't necessarily, a succubus or an incubus. You can classify her as that, but I'll be getting into the details of her in a little bit. Let me pull up my notes because I want to make sure I stay on topic and then I do not ramble. So if you see me reading, it's because I am. I'm reading my notes. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, my name is, of course, Justice. Thanks for tuning into my channel. I am a spiritualist, I'm a diviner, and I help people to understand their unique purpose, talents, gifts, all of those different things to help them live a more liberated and intentional and evolved life so that you don't have to come back to Earth, okay? Unless you have to come back here. Now, if you got to come back here, that's out of my control, okay? It's out of your control, too. However, if you ain't got to come back to this earthly realm of existence, I'm here to help you, okay? Because I don't want to come back either. but anywho, so again, today's video is going to be about two very real astral entities that prey on children that parents need to be aware of. So the Hat Man and this older woman that I like to call the old white lady. I haven't heard any other accounts about her, but when I bring her up later on in the stream, if you all have heard of her before, put that in the comment section because I know the Hat Man is like very popular and people have told many different stories about him. But the old white lady, I haven't heard much about her. So yeah. So for disclosure, there are a lot of negative entities and spirits and thought forms, etc., who prey on children because children are easier to scare. And normally they don't have the experience or the spiritual power, right, to banish them. Or better yet, they'll have the spiritual power to banish them, but they just may not be aware of that power, especially if they don't have like an active adult teaching them those things. And so sometimes they don't have that spiritual power or the experience or the knowledge to banish them and stand up for themselves. So on one hand, they on one hand they prey on children for the same reasons PDF files do. You know, this is YouTube, so I have to censor myself. But they prey on children the same reason why PDF files do, and other humans who may not be PDF files, but who like to mistreat and abuse children in general. Right. So they prey on them for those same reasons. So just like humans, some entities or spirits just love breaking people's spirits. Right. They just love disempowering people and tearing them down. So and a lot of the times they do that to steal their energy for themselves or just to terrorize folks because that's just what they enjoy doing. So just how some folks are crazy here in the earthly realm, they're also crazy people in the spiritual realm. Okay. Or crazy beings and things in the spiritual realm. And they are just outlandish just to do it. So that those types of spirits are what are commonly referred to as wandering spirits or astral entities. The Hat Man is not necessarily a wandering spirit, like he's an actual negative thought form, a negative thought form turned into astral spirits. So yeah. So first, the first one that people need to be aware of, yes, is the Hat Man. Okay. This figure is very popular amongst adults who've had the experience of seeing him as children, right? So the Hat Man is an astral entity that specifically preys on children between the ages of 5 and 13. Now, when I was channeling the information to get to do this video about him or about him and this old white lady. The ages of 5 to 13 popped up for a reason. I'm going to share that reason in a little bit. The ages can vary depending on the child's home life, but generally people experience him between those ages. Why? Because that's around the time parents start allowing their children to have more independence. And when I say independence, I'm talking more so like age appropriate independence. They normally aren't sleeping in their parents' beds anymore. They're going to school. They're playing outside with their friends or playing outside by themselves, right? So again, they're gaining that age appropriate independence, which is why we will start coming, which is why they come around starting around those ages. Okay. So I'm going to tell a little story about my first encounter with the Hat Man. Okay. I was in third grade. We had just moved into a new house and I had started to become more aware of like my spiritual gifts and talents. I didn't call them that then because they were just, innate in my family. It wasn't anything, abnormal or unique compared to my other family members, and even other relatives and things like that as well. So my family, like we always spoke openly about spiritual stuff. Spiritual stuff was not taboo in my household growing up, even though I grew up as a non-denominational, Christian, and I'm not that anymore, of course. Well, I'm not gonna say of course because y'all don't know me. Y'all getting to know me. But anywho, I digress. Even though we grew up in a non-denominational Christian, my mom, she was always a very just open-minded woman. She practiced Tai Chi and again got into acupuncture and just, meditation. She didn't mind sidekicks and stuff like that because again, that stuff was just all up in my family. So, and I say that because my first encounter with him, I really was just like, who the F is this? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, who is this trying to scam me? You know what I'm saying? And I was always seeing stuff, but sometimes other people didn't always see it, right? And so, anywho, let me just digress and get back on track. So, in this particular house when we moved, I experienced a whole lot of spiritual disturbances and phenomena. That house was low-key, high-key haunted. That house was low-key, high-key a portal. Okay. One of my early experiences that I had in that house that I always remembered, always replays in my mind every now and then, was that of the Hat Man. Okay. So I woke up to my bed violently shaking, right? It was shaking. It was shaking, right? And so when it stopped shaking, I looked over to the hallway. Now, mind you, this is third grade justice, so we 8, 9, something like that. So I look over, right? Because I'm facing my window. And so I look over into the hallway where the door is, and I see this tall silhouette of a man standing there looking at me. And mind you, he was a silhouette, so he didn't have any eyes like how you see my eyes now. You didn't see any of his features, but you know he was looking at you. Not you laughing at me. But I knew this man, okay, was staring at me. And he had the audacity, y'all. The all that spirit negative entities be having so much audacity sometimes. And I know I'm in the right field of work as a spiritualist because they don't really be scaring me like that. Like they'll like startle me sometimes, especially as a child. But I will be quick to be like, you don't have no power here. And so when I say audacity, they be having so much audacity because the Hat Man, had the audacity to come with 3 of his Raggedy A friends, okay, to come terrorize me. Okay, young third grade justice, right? And they were on the side of my bed. So again, so I look over, he's there in the doorway standing, right, and the hallway light was on, so I could just see like his whole like silhouette and his entire aura, right. And so then his 3 Raggedy A friends come up on the side of my bed terrorizing me, and that shook me. Them being right there on the side of my bed, like that did actually scare me. And so they all had scary and distorted faces, and one had a creepy clown face. The other one was an old woman. And the other face I can't remember, but I just remember them having like a really weird oblong. Um, Absolutely not. They got to go. Yes, they gotta go. They gotta get the hell out of there. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I just remember the third one having like a really odd oblong shaped head. And so um oh yeah, okay, so let me get back on track. Yes, he had an oblong shaped head. I had to find where I was in my notes. But so, and I know that some of you may be thinking that like I was asleep, but y'all, I can assure you I was not. I was wide awake. Okay. I was actually awakened out of my sleep because again my bed was shaking. So I was so scared at that time when I saw the 3 of them. I put my head under the covers and then I peeked out a little bit from the side like this. Like I peeked out a little bit on the side. They were still there. I said, okay, so we're definitely not dreaming. This is real. So eventually, like a few moments later, I got up and I got the courage to run to my mom's room and I told her what was going on. And at first she said it was because I was being bad because I was a little unruly at times. Okay. I was very outspoken, had my own mind, okay, to an extent. And, I was a little unruly. Okay. I was a little unruly Aryan child. Okay. So, where was I? Yeah, so at first she told me it was because I was being bad. But then I told her again, I'm like, no, mama, I'm like seriously, these things are in my room. Okay, like right now. And so and so when she saw how serious I was, like she began, to pray the Lord's Prayer and, began to banish, and cast those things out and different things like that. And so it worked. They went away that first time, but then they came back. I had a few other experiences there with him and his weak ass lackeys, right? But after the second time, my mom opened up the front doors and commanded the evil to leave, prayed, all of those different things. I didn't have any other experiences with them before after like that second or third time. And after she did that, I really didn't have many other hauntings in that house. I would wake up sometimes though and see this like white light circling around the perimeter of my ceiling, the ceiling of my bedroom at that time. And although it was formless, I remember it being very angelic and protective. So when my mom did all that prayer and casting out, some type of angelic guide, some type of angelic presence did begin to dwell in the home, protecting the home and different things like that, because I would always notice this energy. And well, I'll save that one for another time. But anywho, I want to stay on track. Um, and so I told my mom about this angelic, energy that was always around my room and always around the house. And she confirmed that that was, in fact, spiritual protection, keeping, the evil and the darkness away. So moving on, another reason why the Hat Man makes his appearance around those ages, between the ages of 5 and 13, is because children are getting ready to go through puberty. Okay. And so within that same year, or in a few years, which is actually funny, because I was recalling this experience when I was writing out my notes and different things. And it's funny because I was in the 3rd grade when he first made his appearance to me. In the following year, in the 4th grade, I got my period. I got my cycle, my first cycle. So he shows up around those ages when you're getting ready to go through puberty. I was in 4th or 5th grade. Yeah, but he shows up around those times. And so he is in fact an astral PDF file. Yes, he is. He gets off by harming children, and some people have even reported him touching them inappropriately. So he is truly a very nefarious energy, but we always have dominion and power over those things. And at the end of this video, because I don't believe in sharing information, especially creepy information, fear-mongering type information, without giving people solutions. I believe in empowering people. I don't believe in people cowering themselves and shrinking. It's like, oh, I can't handle this. Yes, you can. Stand up. Yes, you can. You can handle it. Okay. So stick around to the end for that. The second spirit I'm going to discuss is not an entity like the Hat Man. The difference between an entity and a spirit, all entities are spirits, right? But not all spirits are entities. An entity is more powerful, more robust. They can do, they can like touch you. They can influence you on a deeper level than a spirit can, because spirits can influence you as well, but entities have a little bit more leeway to influence people who are very vulnerable. So this particular lady, she's not an entity like the Hat Man. She's an astral spirit. Okay. I like to call her, again, the old white lady. I don't have another name for her. I don't know if she has another name. If you do, if you're aware of any additional names, share that down below in the comment section. But okay. Yeah, she's not the old hag and she's not a boo hag. So my encounter with this woman came when I was investigating what was going on with a young male in my family a few years ago. So my encounter, he wasn't going wayward or anything like that. But he wasn't acting like his bubbly self. Again, he was, going through puberty and becoming, an adolescent and different things like that. And so if y'all hear my cat meowing in the background, he just wants some attention. So ignore him. Okay. Baby. Okay. All right. Where was I? Yeah, so he was spending more time in his room. He seemed a bit sadder than usual. And I can't remember totally, because this was a few years ago. I can't remember totally if his grades had started to decline or not. I think that they were, though. But all in all, he wasn't acting totally like himself. He was changing, right? And so one day, while I was on the phone with my family, we were discussing, his changes and his behavior. And something told me, and that was Holy Spirit, something told me that this was a spiritual matter. This wasn't just a matter of adolescent hormones. This was something spiritual that he was going through. And so I put my folks on hold. Okay. I put my folks on hold. Okay. And I said, let me go see. I'm gonna let them go and talk. Let me just, go into a quick meditation and just see really quickly what is going on. And so I got with my spirit team and I asked them to show me what is the source of this young male's problems. And so immediately they showed me this old white lady who was frail with very thinning, scraggly hair. Her hair was all over the place. She was lingering in his bedroom, standing in front of his TV. He used to keep it really dark in his room. And so she was standing in front of the TV and I could see her her reflection like in the light, or how she looked from the light of the TV. And so I asked my folks, I said, and when I say my folks, I'm talking about like my spirit team, my guides, da, 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 when y'all hear me say my folks. Sometimes I'm talking about my human family, sometimes I'm talking about my spiritual team. So, but anywho, they told me that she is an astral spirit who shows up when boys are getting ready to go through puberty. She isn't necessarily a succubus, but she can be likened to one. They said she is easy to banish though and to get rid of. And so I gave my family members instructions on how to banish her. But my family, y'all know, if y'all spiritualists, okay, or baby spiritualists or whatever, sometimes family, when it comes to spiritual stuff, and especially if they come from an Abrahamic religion, they can be kind of hard headed sometimes and think like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Too. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it, but I'm not. But they really don't do it. So as the spiritualist in your family, sometimes you have to go ahead and just do it yourself, right? And so I knew they weren't going to do it, so I ended up banishing her remotely. Actually, it was actually quite easy to get rid of her. Just to make sure that she didn't infringe, on him anymore. And even though she wasn't super dangerous, anything that is leeching on your energy, whether it be something that is weak, or super powerful, eventually that stuff adds up. Just because you have, just because you go, let me see, let me give an analogy. Just because you, hold on, let me see. I love how you always give your family tools to protect them, and you always do. Yes, you got to. You have to, because sometimes they're just not going to do it themselves. Unfortunately, and because those your loved ones, you like, well, I'm not going to let them just sit back and suffer when it's something that I know that I, can do. But yeah, and so it's just kind of like, I don't know. I can't think of an analogy right now, so I'm just gonna move on. But things add up. Dirt, spiritual dirt, it adds up. Just like the dirt at your front door, it adds up. Like when you don't, like it just continues like to collect until like you clean it all off, and then it becomes more laborious to clean it all off because you let the dirt cake up on your front door, or the dust cake up on your ceiling fans, or your blinds or whatever. You have to really, just it's the same way with your spiritual hygiene. Like you really have to stay on top of those things, and don't ignore those things, because you don't want that nasty energy to just pile up, and then it starts impacting your life even more, right, in a negative way. But so this lady, so going back to the old white lady, my folks told me that this lady comes to awaken a young male's nature. Okay, if you grew up around old folks, you know what I mean when I say they come to awaken nature, right? My grandmama used to say, don't talk like that, around children. She used to have to tell the grown folks in my family, don't talk around them children, them children like that. You gonna get their nature high. She used to tell one of my aunties. She used to tell one of my aunties that when she would just be talking about, her many adventures, right? And my grandma always used to say, don't be talking like that in front of them kids. You gonna get their nature high before it's time. And so that's what this old white lady comes to do. Like she comes to awaken a young male's nature, which can often lead to a misuse of sexual power and energy throughout the years, which we actually see that. We've seen that throughout all of history, right? And even more so, in this modern day and age, right? Hence why so many adults, are just all over the place. Either they're all over the place and can't control themselves, or they are extremely repressed, right? When it comes to their sexual nature. And you want to have a good balance, right? Because we are we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. So it's important to have a healthy balance, of those things. You can't be too far left. You can't be too far right. You got to be somewhere in the middle. Okay. So now we're about 25 minutes into the stream. And so now I want to get into a few ways, parents and guardians, aunties, uncles, friends, whatever. If you have young ones, right, that you love and care for, here are a few ways that you can protect your household and your children from these negative energies. Now, these ways that I'm about to give you, they our novice level and entry level ways, right? I want to be mindful of the information that it is that I put out. Um, and I don't want to give out information that is a little bit too strong and too robust, especially when I don't know the exact situation that someone may be experiencing, right? So, just FYI, just a disclaimer. Come on, notes. Yes. Come on, notes. So, number one, so watching who you bring. Watching who you bring. I'm gonna say it the third time, like Dr. Umar. Watching who you bring in your home as well as around your children. Okay? Children who live in tumultuous homes are susceptible to I'm laughing because one of the only person actually in the chat, my bestie, she's throwing up the laughing emoji. Actually, she's more than my bestie. She's my egg bae. Shout out to my egg bae. But anywho, where was I? Yes, so children who live in tumultuous homes are susceptible to these kinds of occurrences, and so are children, who may not live in a who may not live in a tumultuous home, but they are often ignored, though, right? Because maybe the parents are working all the time. Maybe everybody's just busy. They don't have any older siblings, or if they do have older siblings are busy living their own lives, right? So they are alone and like often like ignored and isolated. So if there's a lot of arguing, anger, cheating, lying, killing, stealing, trapping, heavy drug use, okay, depression, anxiety, and just overall instability in the home, you are creating an easy gateway for these types of spirits to terrorize you as well as the children, because if you got all this going on, they probably already terrorizing you and you're just not aware of it in your adult mind, but they are definitely terrorizing the children, right? And so when you entertain friends, family, and lovers who are no good or who lack poor character, that makes it very easy for these energies to do what it is that they want to do, because there are no boundaries in the home. There's no light, in the home. So, when we are raising children, we have to consider how our actions impact them, not only in the material world, but as well as in the spiritual world as well. So, the first thing that you need to do is, or that I suggest you do, because I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do or what not to do. That's not my style of direction, of guidance, and support. I don't do that. I just suggest, and the choice is yours, okay? Because again, my goal and intention is to help us not have to come back to Earth. However, if you have to come back for whatever reason, it's above me now. Okay, it's always been above me, but it's above me. Okay, but so the first thing that you need to do is clean up your life. Okay. The second thing that you need to do is pray over your children daily, right? I'm giving you very simple things to just begin to banish, and to protect yourself, your household, and the children against these nefarious energies, right? And so do these things first. And if these things don't work, feel free to contact me for a reading. The information is on my website, and then maybe we can get you some more robust things. But try these things first if you are experiencing this, right? Or if your children are experiencing this. The second thing is to pray over your children daily. Get you some blessed olive oil, some blessed jojoba oil, apricot, grapeseed, okay, and anoint your children's head, and anoint their feet, and anoint their hands, okay? If they are young enough to where you still bathe them yourself, anoint them all over their body, from the tops of their head, to the soles of their feet, praying over them, okay? And you can pray whatever prayer that you are comfortable with, okay? You can pray the Lord's Prayer over them while you do this, or any other prayer from any religious pantheon that you are comfortable with, okay? If you don't know what to say, I'm actually going to give you a prayer really quickly to say. So you can slow this video down or continue to rewind if you need this prayer. So, because everybody don't know how to pray. So here you go. I'm a prayer warrior. Okay. I know how to get some stuff moving and shaking. Okay. But anywho, I give thanks to God slash creator, however you recognize the supreme creator, the supreme force that rules our universe, right? I give thanks to the creator for this child. I bless their spirit and body with the power of the holy light of the creator who resides in me. May the holy light of the creator protect this child when they are waking and when they are slumbering, in their going and in their coming. May this baby be blessed and covered by 360 degrees, by 360 degrees, by 360 degrees of the holy shield from which they came. Creator, order their steps, protect their destiny, and protect them from all forms of harm in the seen and unseen worlds. I know that because I have declared, it is so. It is sealed. I give thanks. There go your prayer right there. Pray that over your baby daily. Pray that over yourself daily, right? Pray it over your home daily, right? And speaking of the holy light of the creator, I actually have a class. What's today? Saturday, March 28th. I have a class next Saturday, April 4th at 11:30 a.m. Teaching about how to discern the voice of God, how to get God to answer your prayers. My egg mate comes from a long line of pregnant women. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I do. You do too. Boom shakalaka. But I have a class next week. Spiritual Communication 101 is actually a series of classes that I'm going to be teaching to help people to get the correct spiritual information, to help you align in your life, to help you transform your life and really live the life that it is that you want to live, the life that it is that you came here to live, right? And to evolve with that. And so oftentimes we need the support of our spiritual allies, but you need to know how to communicate with your spiritual allies and discern the voice of your spiritual allies so that you can live a truly divine and opulent life, right? In whatever way or whatever standard of living that is for you, right? And so the first installment of this series is Spirit Communication 101, Discerning the Voice of God. The link is actually on my community tab. And actually, let me drop the likey link in the chat too. On Momento. Spirit Communication 102 for the people that took my Spirit Communication 101 class. Was it last week or week before last? Last week. It was just last week. Time is moving so fast, y'all. And I don't have my calendar and my dates pulled up in front of me. But for the people that took my spirit communication class 101 last week, I'm doing 102, understanding or discerning the voice of your higher self. I'm doing that class next weekend. No, not next weekend. I'm sorry, April 11 for them. And so for the people that take Spirit Communication 101, the 4th, so next weekend, you all's class will be 21 days from the 4th on another following Saturday. And so I dropped that direct link in the chat so that you all can learn how to discern the voice of God, how to get the attention of God so that you can help transform your life truly. Okay, honestly, truly, in my Joanne the Scammer voice, honestly, truly. So yes, and the information in this class is not just it's not stuff about the creator that you've heard before. I know you ain't heard it before. Okay, because it's not regurgitated information from any type of Abrahamic religion or anything like that. This information is truly new, right? Because there are many aspects of the creator. And so I'm going to teach you how to connect with one particular aspect that's going to really help you, okay, to get the attention of God to help you transform your life. So, anywho, pray. Boom, shakalaka. Number 3, the next thing you need to do is get you some frankincense, okay, and some myrrh, okay. And either burn it as an incense or you can use the essential oils in an oil diffuser. If you have pets, be mindful though, of course, and do your research. I would burn this on a weekly basis in the evening. Usually when I'm burning frankincense and myrrh, it's usually in the evening time when I'm burning it. Sometimes I do burn it in the morning, but And I won't explain the science behind burning it in the evening because I don't want to make this video longer than what it is. But before burning your frankincense and myrrh, clean the home. Okay, clean your home with some diluted white vinegar with sea salt and rosemary. Okay, if you don't have sea salt, if you don't have rosemary, white vinegar will work just fine. Okay, if you don't have sea salt or rosemary. Oh, sorry, I just said that. White vinegar will work just fine. You can also use ammonia, but ammonia, okay, for those people that have pets, is extremely toxic to our furry friends, okay? So I don't recommend ammonia if you have pets. I do not. The white vinegar, they don't care for the smell, but it's not toxic to them, especially when you dilute it appropriately, okay? But again, do your own research because I'm not responsible for no wahala rah rah in your house. Okay. But no troubles in your house. I'm not responsible. Okay. Yes. So if you decide to make this cleanser, retain some. So after you mix the white vinegar, the sea salt, and the rosemary together, retain some for yourself so that you can sprinkle it throughout the household, sprinkle it on the bed and different things like that. And don't pour it, okay? Don't pour it, okay? You don't want mildew, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what, but just don't pour it. Sprinkle, dip. This is your vessel, okay? Sprinkle it, okay? Don't pour, okay? Don't dump. Don't do that, okay? And I have to explain things like that because you'll be surprised by the questions like people may have, especially when they are new to this, right? So I like to break things down in a way a fifth grader, would be able to understand it. But yeah. You can also sprinkle this concoction on your vehicle. You can wash your door handles with it, wash your walls with it, front door, back door, cabinets, mirrors, etc. Okay. Now, don't go ruining your house with this. Okay. If you got certain paint on the walls, and different things, use your discernment. Okay. Use your discernment. Okay. Boom shakalaka. I trust you. All right. The final thing. Oh, let me explain. So the vinegar and sea salt are cleansers, right? They help to fortify and strengthen, your whatever object it's on, right? It helps to cleanse it, helps to purify it, all those things. It prepares it for consecration. It's like that concoction is a preparation for consecration. And so then you have the rosemary, and the rosemary can protect. It has more. Rosemary has many different. It has many different properties in spiritual uses, but you can use it to protect. Okay, so that is the purpose of that concoction. Okay, the final thing, number 4, the final thing I suggest you do is in the 4 corners of your child's room with the sea salt. Place it. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. In the 4 corners of your child's room, sprinkle that with sea salt. Okay. I suggest you place it on the window sills if you can. If like a young baby or a pet won't get to it, put it on the window sills. Another thing that you can do is put it across the primary entrances of your home. In addition, if they are having night terrors, I suggest I've suggested this to my clients many before in the past. Place a bowl or glass of place a glass or bowl of salt water under their bed or next to their nightstand. If it's on their nightstand, replace it daily. If it's underneath their bed, you don't necessarily have to replace it daily. It depends on how dirty and murky that it is. Okay. Yeah, it depends on how dirty and murky it looks. If it looks cloudy the next day, whether it's underneath the bed or if it's on the nightstand, replace it. Okay. And it should be looking dirty and murky if they have some things going on, because that's the water capturing the negative essence and different things that they have going on. Okay. I'm not going to explain the science behind that. I might do it later, but for the sake of this video, just do it if you're having issues and it works. So there are a number of things that can be done, but because I don't know the spiritual level or understanding of everyone who may watch this video, I wanted to give some very basic and novice level advice that is effective and that can be done by literally anyone. Okay. If you all have questions about a particular situation, or if you find these methods don't work or they need some refinements, then again, schedule a personal reading so I can see what's up and tailor some remedies that are specific to you and your situation, because everyone is different. Everybody got so many different things going on. And so sometimes when stuff is a little bit more extreme, they require different methods of cleansing and protection. Sometimes continued cleansing and protection over a certain amount of time, especially when you are banishing a particular entity, right? But for the sake of this video, for the hat man and the old white lady, this stuff right here gonna work. Okay, now if you're dealing with some other stuff, that's a little bit, it'll put a band-aid on it, if you're dealing with some, extreme stuff. But yeah. But anywho, in closing, tell me in the comments if you've had these any experiences with the hat man yourself, or this old white lady that you heard me describe. That's not a boo hag or the old hag. That's different. And if so, how was it resolved, if things were ever resolved with them? So if you want to book a personal reading, the information is in the description box. I offer Akashic record readings. I offer cartomancy readings, which are readings with playing cards, hydromancy, and other different things. I have a lot of great classes coming to help teach the masses, because in the times that we are in, okay, we got to stay spiritually leveled up, and ain't no way I'm supposed to keep all this information to myself. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Let me look in the chat and see what my friend said before I close out. We're probably gonna hop on the phone after this, so let me see. I don't remember having any of these experiences. Good. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Egbe, for joining. I'm about to end the live, and I'm going to holler at you in the chat, in the group chat. Yay, I'm happy it was helpful. That's the purpose. That's the purpose and the goal. And for the people that are watching the replay of this, just put it in the comment section and I'll respond, because I really want to know y'all's experiences with this and if this video was helpful. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching. Now, how do I end this? Because again,